NWS this afternoon, I took these photos down around by the soccer stadium in Butchertown. You're looking at North Campbell Street right here. This takes you into Butchertown in Nulu. And take a look at this view right over here. This is Adams Street, which will take you to Waterfront Park and the Big Four Bridge. And the high water signs are also up with the barricades keeping traffic out.
Well, the good news is we got late today. MSD says they will not be installing additional flood walls at the moment after revised Ohio River forecast looked a lot better. That
was a lot better news there. So we asked Mike Kochasic of the National Weather Service to join us to talk about the flooding. And Mike, you know river levels well. You study these. What can we expect for Louisville, especially after more snow coming down on the ground the next 24 hours?
Sure. Well, the soils are very wet and there's a lot of rain, as we know, and the snow melts later on in the forecast when we start warming up, so there's a lot of moisture coming into those rivers. We're looking at minor flooding, really, is what we're expecting, and it's not going to get too bad out there, but enough to close some of the roads, river roads, underwater a little bit, and some of the floodgates, of course, too. And Mike, you said you expect more flooding of River Road, and you're worried about people not paying attention to these barricades like we just saw a few minutes ago. Absolutely. It's really important to stay safe and heed those warnings. You know, if you see the barricades there, they're put there for a reason. Don't drive around them, even if you've had four-wheel drive, even if you've driven that road many times before. Turn around, don't drown. It's not worth the risk.
I want to talk about Eastern Kentucky really quickly. You know, and we have another historic flooding event down there. This happened badly in 2022. So many people died. Now, 3 years later, it used to say, well, this would be a once-in-a-lifetime storm. We used to say that around here. That's not proving to be true anymore. Yes, it's heartbreaking. Some of the images that you see and what people have gone through over there in Eastern Kentucky, and our hearts are just broken for them. Yeah, in the past, you know, declarations for the state would be 1 or 2 on average per year. Now we're seeing like 3 and 4 on average per year. We've been through a really bad stretch in the last 5-10 years here in Kentucky, but we're resilient people, and you know, neighbors helping neighbors. You know, it brings out the worst in the weather, but the best out of humanity. Is the biggest concern now in that part of the state, also central and southern parts of the state, where there has been flooding and now we're getting this winter storm and folks might lose electricity if they haven't already lost it? Yes, we're really concerned about the snow coming in. I mean, some seeing 4 to 6 potentially in the forecast. And you're right, without power, and it's going to get really, really cold, the wind chills we're looking at, you know, in the teens to maybe even below 0 at times. I mean, that's a really big concern for the rescue crews and for the people without power. You know, Ben, Connie, and I talk about the snow totals a lot, and now you're knocking on almost 20 inches for Louisville. That's well above our average. The last 2 winters, I think we had a total of 4 inches. Quite the turnaround. Yeah, we've had a lot of mild winters, and you're right. To this point in February, we've had 20 inches of snow already, which in an entire winter, we usually average about 13. So at this point, we have 9 is our average by this time in February. So that's about 200% of normal. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. Just going back to the areas that have been flooded already in Eastern Kentucky, are you concerned, or have you guys talked about the possible mudslides that may be happening? It's a big concern. The last number I saw, that there was 14 mudslides already accounted for across the state, and more potentially to come with more rainfall, you know, maybe even potential for that snow to melt. And there's a lot of instability, especially out there in Eastern Kentucky roadways. You told me that you give the governor a lot of his briefing, personal briefings, that you were involved in his briefing on Sunday in your close contact with Andy Beshear. What's it mean to you that he actually goes down to like Pikeville, Kentucky, where he spent all day yesterday? It means a lot. It's one thing to be, you know, in Frankfort and doing your duties, but it's another to come and see the devastation for yourself and to put your arm around families and be with them in their hard times. So you can tell he cares a lot, and he gives a lot of himself too. All right. Mike, thank you so much for your insight on that. You bet. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.